So I am going to defer to the backwoods reference and then attach it to the adjacent Reward Audacity video with regard to the new caliber, the 357 Magnum Express. Referencing Backwoods, who was referencing Quigley Down Under with Alan Rickman's quote, so very quoted, an experimental rifle with an experimental cartridge. And the shooter was like, something like that. But what's interesting, and I don't think, because I don't subscribe to him lately, I used to really, really, truly, deeply love the Iraq Veteran 8888 channel. Two reasons for that. First and foremost, he and my bro served in the same unit back in 03 and 04 overseas. And the second thing was, man, he just put out good videos. I found out about him through Harry Ruger 6, who referenced him. They did like a series on, I think it was the SKS, the different variants of the SKS, from Yugoslav to Russian to Chinese. It was really cool. And later on, and again, I don't know if he still does it, where they do reloading videos where they're tuning calibers. And so you take Quigley Down Under, and then I wish I could remember the exact numbers, but let's say it was 45 110. A shooter who knows he's going to be at range, say in this case the fictional character of Quigley, if the 4570 was, say, his starting point, and he just kept souping that joker up until it could make it out to the ranges that he had the skills to hit, then experiment's not totally the right word for it. So I'm thinking with your 357 Magnum Express, I'm curious about the pressure numbers of the one similar to that I referenced in the comments about the 357 Bane and somebody the hell else. Let's say Bane and Batman, where they took a 357 and stuffed it on a 44 Magnum case. I can't imagine our performance of the 41 Magnum bed would be greater than that 44 is capable of achieving. However, if you were to run one of those thick slab-sided cylinders, the Ruger big boy, like the Ruger Red Hawk cylinders that don't have the cutouts, if you could start with, say, a Ruger Red Hawk somehow that was 357, but that stronger chamber, would it have the build, or even a Korg, right? Just extra strong, but it sucked to ruin a Korg cylinder. And you could conceivably have a dual caliber weapon with switching out your cylinder, like what they do with your 357 Blackhawks, where you can switch out between a 9mm, or you can run 38 or whatever. Like conceivably, this firearm could shoot 38, standard 357, as well as our 357 ME. And the way we would do that, we would just start with a 357 cylinder and just hone it out to where that 41 shell casing fits in there just right, and then bring the end, leave a little bit of fluting at the end, like a chamfer, for that 357 to seat into it. I mean, similar, I don't know if it's similar or not, but, not unlike what is one of my favorite calibers that I've never really talked about before, which is the 357 SIG. But it's good stuff. It's good stuff. I don't know I don't know if I'm as good enough of a shooter to really know the difference, but I will say, watching Eric and his reloading videos where he was hard casting his own bullets and working with the grain of the firearm, it was really enjoyable for me to watch. I love the science. I love the science of it. I'm not going to claim to be any kind of a shooter, but I can watch a 1.5 hour video by Iraq veteran 8888 when he's custom making rounds for his Martini Henry, you know. So putting lightweight bullets on the end of a Magnum caliber made me think this morning of Dirty Harry when he was talking about the round he was using. If you'll recall, and I believe it was actually in Magnum Force, was the movie. And they were all at the range, and Harry Callahan, Inspector Callahan, actually confesses that he's not shooting a Magnum load. He is, in fact, shooting .44 Special with a ultra lightweight, low-grain round that allowed him to achieve 357 Magnum speeds with a larger diameter, like, you know, pre-expanding. So, like, I don't remember what the grain was, but let's say it was a .44 Special with, say, a 154 grain bullet in it. And just fascinating talk. I am curious, though, Audacity. What is it that you like about the 45 ACP? I hold the 45 ACP in extremely high regard, as well as the 45 Long Colt. And for me, the reason I like those rounds is due to how much I like the Colt Single Action Army and how much I like the 1911. So as a result, I very much like those rounds. I always thought the idea of the 38 Super was cool until I found out the background of it, and at that point I found it to be a little less cool. And I'll explain that background for those of you who may not know. So the deal with 38 Super is there are countries such as France and Mexico, to my understanding, that do not allow at all the civilian population to bear the same caliber of firearm as law enforcement does. So if the Mexican police and the Mexican army use 9mm or 45 ACP, therefore the Mexican population is not allowed access to those rounds. Fast forward to you want to shoot your 1911, so a different round is developed for it in reference to the 38 Super. To me, that goes along with the style. You know, the ultimate 38 Super 1911 to me is blue steel with ivory grips, or blue steel with like gold appointments on it, you know, having that real Latin flourish to it. I always thought those were cool, man. I really did. And then some of the 1911s, like the Starias or whatever the fuck they are. I like the idea of one of those in stainless or polished nickel, chambered in 9mm, but with pearl grips. However, I've never felt the same about pearl grips since the Patton movie, where General Patton, played by George C. Scott, poo-poos the idea of pearl grips, saying they're just for pimps and whatever. He's like, these grips are ivory, because he would have his two single action army rig, his dual single action army. I think, unless his dual rig His dual rig was 357 Magnum, his personal dual rig. You'd have to. I didn't bother to research it in this off the cuff video, but Kuro grips. I don't know. I do not know. But I do like Smee the 1911, and it's one of those weapons that I've managed to shoot well with, and I've had good luck with it as well. I would say that I've had great luck with Glocks too, but I've never shot good with them. And there was a technique that I just heard. This is a total aside, but there's a technique that I am going to try the next time I'm at the range. And hopefully I'll remember to tell you if my results were any better. But my opinion is the biggest problem I've had with the Glock is the size of my hands. Because I think it's a double stack built for small-handed people. And I've never gotten my hands on a Gen 4 or a Gen 5 and attempted to use larger grips. So I was thinking in a outside the waistband, if I ever went to it, going to a Gen 5 Glock 26 with the largest grip setup for concealed carry. Maybe even do inside the waistband. I don't know. I always tell myself I'm going to go to Appendix for EDC, but man, I can't manage to lose the 20 lbs that I need to really make it work, because a Glock 48 with a reflex sight, I mean, I'm big enough to accommodate that, but oh well. What do y'all think? See ya.